Indeed, wireless gaming mice have come a long way. These days, there are just so many options to choose from. Whatever your budget, there's certainly a wireless gaming mouse that should suit your needs. We already reviewed the Fantech Venom, Helios, Ajaz i303 Pro, i309 Pro, and now, we're taking a look at the Panther Quasar Prime. This is Panther's first ever wireless gaming mouse and is poised to take its own spot alongside other wireless gaming mice in the budget category. With so many options to choose from, what makes a Quasar Prime different and what sets it apart from its competitors? We'll find out shortly. First off, I have to commend Panther for coming up with a really sleek and premium packaging. This just goes to show how serious these guys are with their products. So the box comes with a manual, USB-C paracord cable, the wireless USB dongle, extra PTFE skates, and the mouse itself. The cable's nice and soft. If any, this would be the softest of all the mice I've reviewed. Playing while charging this mouse shouldn't be an issue at all. The mouse weighs at 77 grams, measures 125 millimeters long, 59 millimeters at the middle, 64 at its widest point, and 39 millimeters at its highest point. Flipping to the bottom, we can see the on and off switch, an LED button for cycling through the RGB presets, the sensor lens at the middle, and 3 mouse gates. Now, some of you may have already seen my unboxing video, and after days of testing this out, there are a lot of stuff I learned about this mouse. Right now, it's pretty obvious that the Quasar Prime came from the same OEM as the Ajaz i309 Pro. However, despite that, the Quasar Prime is an entirely different mouse. Let's start off with the construction and build quality. Although the plastic sounded pretty similar to how the Ajaz i309 Pro was when I was tapping and feeling it, the texture was entirely different. It seems the coating is more matte and refined, unlike the i309 Pro's thin and slippery matte finish. The coating is still a sweat magnet though, but I can definitely feel it's more comfortable to grip. The sides are not as slippery as the i309 Pro, and the top shell, including the main buttons, feel more premium. The rattling seems to have gone away as well. The i309 Pro rattles so much due to its flex cable. I guess they were able to figure out something to prevent this cable from flailing so much inside the mouse. The side flexing that causes the side buttons to activate is still there, but honestly, it's not something to be bothered about. Believe me, you won't be able to do this on regular usage unless you try hard enough to squeeze the mouse. Another big improvement are the PTFE skates. I mean, by now everyone should know that PTFE skates are far more superior than the standard Teflon skates we see on older and cheaper mice. I personally think manufacturers should start ditching Teflon and just make PTFE skates for mice moving forward. Well, because PTFE skates just glide so much better. Okay, now moving on to the buttons. What differentiates the Quasar Prime from other wireless gaming mice in its price range are the main buttons. It's rare to find a mouse that sports Kale Red GM 4.0 switches in the budget price range. As far as I can tell, they were the first to ever implement these switches. Kale switches are one of the more favored switches among mouse enthusiasts, not only because of their proven resistance to double-clicking issues, but also because of their unique, crisp, and sharp clicks. They're not as stiff as Wano switches, and they're also not as soft as Omrons. After using this mouse for a week, I can tell they're a good middle ground between Omrons and Wanos. Personally, I'd choose Kale over the two if I'll go to replace all my mouse switches. Side buttons are Kale Red dots, which are just as satisfying as the main buttons. They sit at a nice spot where you can easily reach them, whatever grip you're using. The 24-step scroll wheel is fairly light, has very little wobble, and have decent tension when pressing. But yeah, I wish the tracks were horizontal instead of the parallel ones we see here. It just gives it a muddy feel. Not that it bothers me, but actually, that's something that can be improved on. The DPI button serves its purpose, and has a low profile which is nice. That helps prevent accidental presses. Now moving on to the sensor. The Quasar Prime is armed with a Pixar 3335 sensor. This used to be Pixar's flagship wireless sensor but has now been replaced by the 3370. But make no mistake, it's still a great and flawless sensor. It has a 125 to 1000 Hz polling rate, DPI range of 100 to 16,000, tracking speed of 400 IPS, and 40G acceleration. Liftoff distance is measured at 1 mm, which is great especially to those that play on very low sensitivity. And of course for the usual tests, as you can see it has zero angle snapping, and I did not notice any mouse jitter over the course of my testing. It tracks pixel by pixel and has zero acceleration issues. It also has no issues tracking very fast movement. Sensor spinout is non-existent on this one. I mean, what else can I say? Sensors in wireless technology are starting to get so much better these days, it's really hard to tell the difference with other sensors in wired mice unless you're some kind of a machine. Now moving on to the most important part, the shape. If you watch my salty review of the i309 Pro, you should know by now that despite the mouse being quite disappointing, I definitely like the shape. It's a shape that I think is very well suited for relaxed grip styles like a relaxed palm or fingertip grip. I love the shape so much I decided to not give up on the mouse and just modded mine to make up for its shortcomings. But I'm really glad Panther took notice of these flaws and made the Quasar Prime. This is definitely the i309 Pro reborn. Okay, so to those who have not seen the review, let's get down to the details. The Quasar Prime is an ambidextrous mouse with side buttons on the left side, favoring right-handed users. Of course, left-handed users can still use it, but they'll have to get used to the side buttons or just disable them through the software. I'd say the Quasar Prime has a very neutral shape, similar to the popular G102, G304, and this cheap old A4 Tech mouse that most of us have used at some point in our lives. The grooves on the sides are less pronounced to the point that they look almost flat. Now, this is not entirely bad. Depending on your grip style, a flatter side would help with certain grips, primarily those that sport relaxed grips that utilize fingers and wrists for general mouse movement and micro adjustments. Coupled with a low profile with the hump at the middle gradually sloping down, this makes it ideal since the top shell would hardly interfere with your palm's base when you make your adjustments. Another good thing about this mouse is its length. It's not as long as the Model O or some other bigger mice, so vertical movement is much easier without having to move your arm at all. Then again, it's not for everyone. If you're using a more aggressive grip or you want your hand planted securely on the mouse, then perhaps the Fantech Helios or the Endgame Gear XM1R are better choices because of their more emphasized grooves and hump. Now for the record, I have a 17 by 10 cm hand, and for the recommended hand lengths, 14 to 19 cm can effectively palm it, 15 to 17 for claw, and 16 to 20 for fingertip. You can refer to the table for more details. Note that these are just estimates and my personal thoughts. Your experience may vary. Software is pretty much similar to the i309 Pro. To be honest, the Quasar Prime was detected by the i309 Pro software when I plugged it. But of course, for the sake of this video, I installed the software. Here, you can customize DPI settings, adjust polling rate, sensitivity, create macros, and customize the lighting. Changes are immediately saved to the onboard memory, so you can actually use the mouse on another computer without having to reconfigure everything. RGB lighting is not over the top, which I like. The lights are well diffused and gives the mouse a premium look. And just like most wireless mice, it turns off the moment the sensor detects movement to conserve battery. By the way, the mouse automatically sleeps for a few minutes of inactivity. You can wake it up by pressing any button. Battery life is good for the most part. The mouse indeed lasts up to 50 hours or about 2 to 3 days before it dies out. You can quickly go on eco mode by pressing and holding down the LED button until the lights go off. This further extends the battery life to maybe a good 1 week from a 100% charge. The LED indicator below the DPI button serves two purposes: a DPI indicator and battery level indicator. So I've been already used to this shape even before I got the Quasar Prime. Well, obviously because I've been maining my modded i309 Pro for a few months now. There's something special about its shape that I really like. The flat sides and rounded edges are a perfect match for my fingertip grip, and adjusting to other grips like, say, a relaxed palm or palm claw doesn't feel awkward. If you're used to egg-shaped mice like the G102, G304, or this cheap old A4Tech mouse, you won't have trouble adjusting since their shape is pretty much near the Quasar Prime. To be honest, the flat sides and low profile is what makes this mouse so comfortable to grip naturally. If I would compare this to the Panther Helios, which we already reviewed in this channel before, I'd say the Quasar Prime has a more generic, safer shape. To wrap things up, the Panther Quasar Prime really did have improved on almost every aspect the i309 Pro lacked. Better construction, mouse gates, and overall feel. I'm really happy with how they implemented this one. I completely forgot about getting mad with the missing wireless dongle compartment. To add, Panther is backing this mouse with a 3-year warranty, which goes to show just how serious these guys are. I'd say Panther did a great job on their first try, and I hope it doesn't stop here. I also hope they start producing a white variant. But for now, if you guys plan on customizing your mouse without voiding its warranty, you can approach Mouse Mods PH, which is Panther's official partner. That's it for this video. Like, dislike, comment down if you have questions or anything to say. Get subscribed so you don't miss out on my next uploads. And as always, thanks for watching and see you guys soon.